Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Vermilion recently held their city council meeting with some big items on the agenda. Our Callan Dunlop has more.
Today I'm joined by Greg Thronson, Mayor of Vermilion, and today we're talking about the recent city council meeting that took place earlier this week. And to start, I'd like to hear more about the tax rate bylaw that was recently passed.
The tax rate is going up slightly with the cost of living and a lot of other extras that we're having to deal with here in the town of Vermilion. Yes, our taxes are going up slightly. Our mill rate is also changing just slightly, but nothing to the extreme like some other communities are having to deal with. I think we're looking at about a 4.5, 4.7% increase to our taxes.
Another point I'd like to get across is the price reduction on commercial lots. Can you talk about the rationale behind that decision?
Our commercial lots there are right along Highway 41. We developed them about 12, 14 years ago, and they're only half full. And on the Economic Development Board that I sit on, we've been discussing how do we start moving these lots. And with the economy getting better and on an upswing, we believe we're looking at reducing them to almost half price of the asking per acre. So, when they sit there empty, we're not making any tax dollars. So we're just looking to get moving on this land and get some building development going.
Also discussed at the meeting was a summary of the Race of Vermilion. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Well, that's awesome that you hear about it. So the Race of Vermilion. So what we have is we have our foundation in Vermilion called the Good Life. And the Good Life is they promote a lot of events in Vermilion, and the Good Life is supported by the town of Vermilion, and we have 3 or 4 different events through the year. And of course, the Race of Vermilion was the one held in the end of March, and it's basically a giant scavenger hunt race. And it's teams of 4, and they get to dress up in their crazy outfits, and they have clues given to them, and they're on a time limit, and they just go out and they get to see the sights of Vermilion and a giant scavenger hunt for 3-4 hours and just have a lot of fun. It's a really good promotion for our downtown core, for all our businesses and people. We had people from BC, Lethbridge, Edmonton, Red Deer. It brings a lot of people. It's wonderful.
And is this an annual event that you hold?
Actually, no, this is probably the 9th year. Now, don't get me wrong, we had to take a year or 2 off in COVID, but no, I believe it's been going 9 or 10 years. And again, it's just one of the events that we hold each year. We hold 3 other events during the year also with the Good Life. So we're really proud of these events that we hold. They're very well supported.
Lastly, how are you as mayor feeling about the state of Vermilion heading into the rest of the year?
Our volunteers are working as hard as ever. Our hockey, our soccer, our ball are very well supported. We're, again, trying to move some lots, moving ahead on our commercial. We're starting to sell our industrial lots in the one area now that have been sitting vacant for quite a few years. So we see a lot of positive upswing, and I'm really happy to say as the mayor, and without a strong council and strong administration, we wouldn't be getting where we're going to. And I really appreciate everybody's hard work and our volunteers and the character of our town and community. We're going ahead in a positive way.
Well, that covers everything that I had to say. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about this.
The city of Cold Lake is moving ahead with a new $34 million wastewater treatment plant. We sat down with the chair of the Regional Utilities Commission to find out more about the innovative and expensive system. I am here with Ryan Bailey with the Regional Utility Services Commission in Cold Lake. Ryan, what can you tell me about this new wastewater treatment plant that will benefit the city?
So currently we are not meeting the environmental regulations that are required. And so this new plant, like I said, has been looked at since 2009. As everybody knows, things move kind of slowly in the wheels of democracy and governments. So what this will do is it will bring us up to standards, and it also will save us a lot of money because the type of reactor we're going with here, the moving bio reactor, actually costs us quite a bit less than a traditional wastewater treatment plant.
Ryan, it sounds like this new treatment plant will have some innovations that the old system did not have. What can you tell me about how it works?
So with it, it's less infrastructure required, less oversight required. It was developed in Norway, And Viola is, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Viola is the company that sort of brought forward this technology. Little tiny bits. They look like pasta, really. You dump them into the treatment facility area. The organic material will then create bacteria that will eat up the sewage and clean it at a much more efficient rate. Also, it'll be a lot cheaper, and it should be just as clean as what we're putting out right now into the Beaver River.
According to the news release, it sounds like the Beaver River has a fairly high organic load when it reaches Cold Lake. So what will this system do as far as performance?
Right. So when we have upstream effluent that comes in with higher organic material, we have to be able to clean that for ourselves if it comes into our lagoons. So what we do is we have quite a laborious process currently right now that cleans that effluent and actually releases it into the Beaver River cleaner than the actual water in the Beaver River is. And so we're just trying to help and keep the Beaver River as clean as possible. So that's what we're looking at with that.
How long will it be before this wastewater treatment plant is online?
Okay, so the project has gone through a couple tenders. The first one was the design tender. We've now, as you've seen in the report, have contracted it out to Sureform. We're looking at that starting up in 2024 here, and with construction being about 18 to 24 months. So we're hoping to have the full treatment plant ready by 2026.
Ryan, you had mentioned that these systems don't come cheap. What are the costs involved with this new facility?
So when the project was first being looked at, the cost was going to be about $20 million. Currently now it's running at about $34 million. But if we look at a traditional wastewater plant with the infrastructure that's needed for that, those traditional plants run about $50 to $60 million just to build. So this MBBR not only will save us money, but it will keep the environmental regulations up to standard. And that's really what's important, is hitting those standards, but saving the taxpayers a lot of money.
The plant will use a lot of the existing infrastructure. So how will that work?
So what happens is we have some lagoons on the outskirts of town, and what's going to happen is we're going to have some bypasses that put it into the MBBR to clean the water, so we don't have to dig any new pits or anything, and it's just going to utilize what's already out there.
Thank you for your time today, Ryan. I do appreciate it. Thomas Wildman joins me now with the weather. And Thomas, it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice weekend to go walk a dog.
Yeah, well, I'd say yes, it's going to be warm out, but the chances of some rain hitting us will be possible. But that does not mean that we're going to have any snow, so be sure to pick up after your dog, as with that story there. But of course, we're definitely getting, yes, warmer and a lot closer to what we should be here as we get closer to the end of April. Starting now, taking a look here for our almanac right now. A high of 7 today with a low of -5. A little bit worse than the usual normals, 12 degrees as our high usually, and a -2 for the low. Still about the same amount of average precipitation here for the month of April. We probably aren't going to get to that -0.6 or 19.6 that all of the farmers would like us to be at, but we should be getting closer and closer to that mark as the day goes on. Taking a look at the current conditions at the Lloydminster Airport, we're at 6 degrees right now. With wind chill, we're getting down to 3 degrees, just a 15-kilometer north wind hitting us right now. It's going to be similar to what's happening at North Battleford. They're 3 degrees down to 1 with their wind chill, and so just a bit cooler as you get a bit further east. And in Cold Lake, there we go. Cold Lake is at 8 degrees, and they have calm wind, a rare sight here in the central part of Alberta and Saskatchewan, and so a nice day out there in Cold Lake, even though it's just a modest 8 degrees. Taking a look at the current temperatures across the region, there you see Lloydminster at that 6 mark and Cold Lake up at 8. Marwayne similar to us at 6 as well. Vermilion at 6. Provost at 6. Wainwright just a tiny bit warmer at 7 degrees. Then we got St. Paul a little bit cooler at 5 degrees, with Bonnyville sitting at 8 degrees right now. Isle Cross at 7 degrees, as is Vegreville. And Edmonton a little bit cooler at that 6 degrees, similar to us. Taking a look at the Saskatchewan side, up north, Isle Cross at 7 degrees. Green Lake separate from Meadow Lake at 7 degrees right now, with Meadow Lake similar to us at 6 degrees. St. Wolberg also at that 6 degree mark. Pierceland, similar to Cold Lake to their west, at 8 degrees. With Maidstone at 6 degrees, similar to us. North Battleford a little bit cooler at 5, and Macklin at 6 degrees as well. Taking a look at tonight's forecast in North Battleford, they're going to be at -10, partly cloudy and very cold, so you're going to maybe feel it be a little bit colder. Only an 11 km per hour wind chill, but you're not going to be having a lot of safety there from the elements. No chance of precipitation, though, so that's nice for our friends out in Saskatchewan. Taking a look now at Cold Lake, they'll be a little bit warmer at -5, clear and cold, and so it'll be cold in the evening once again, but a 0% chance of precipitation for them, so a nice evening out in Cold Lake. And Lloydminster will be similar as well, -5, mainly clear and cold, and the 11 km wind just to be careful of if you're doing any late night evening activities here in the border city. But now take a look at the 3-day forecast. This is what I was mentioning. A quick afternoon shower on Sunday, a 40% chance. And yes, the rest of the weekend will be nice, 13 degrees, sunny and milder on Saturday. But then Monday, an 80% chance for partly sunny with a shower, 14 degrees though as a high, so I think we're finally getting out of those nastier parts of April here and into the nice warmer spring temperatures that we're looking for. But that will do it for our first look at the weather forecast. We will have some more news headlines coming up after the break.
The Lloydminster Bobcats have officially announced that Jeff Wojciechowski will be the head coach for the 2024-25 season. Wojciechowski has been serving as associate head coach of the Bobcats since 2022. Originally from Vermilion, Wojciechowski is no stranger to high-level hockey, as in his playing days he won a Memorial Cup championship and played 278 games in the NHL. The Lloydminster Bobcats have a busy off-season ahead, whether it's preparing for next season or serving the community with events and camps. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today I'm joined by Nigel Dubé, the general manager of the Lloydminster Bobcats, and he is here today to talk to us about the Bobcats off-season. And so thank you so much for being with me today, Nigel.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
The Bobcats social media has been making a lot of announcements about the Evening of Champions, which will be coming up this September. Nigel, just talk to me about the 3 exciting guests that you guys will be having at the kickoff for the 2024-25 season.
I think this year, again, hats off to the Evening of Champions committee that volunteers to put that together. You look at the lineup this year: Bruce Bourgault, Craig McTavish, Scott Hartnell. I think the big part around that is so many different stories from different aspects, and you look at Bruce, and I think the trade deadline he did with TSN this year, and all that, and the fun that he brings to it from his time in Vancouver. McTavish with his time in Edmonton, Scott Hartnell, local product, and I think it's a nice change again, especially the last couple of years. Each the entertainment piece or the guest speaker piece has been different, where it's not two of the same. So looking forward to that, and obviously tables are on sale now, but that'll be fast approaching September 5th.
And Nigel, you guys had your prospects camp as well as your futures camp these past few weekends. Talk to me about how those went, as well as the upcoming camps that you guys will be having to find the next few years of Bobcats players.
Yeah, I think when you look at our prospects camp 2 weekends ago, it was great. Our director of player personnel, Andrew Gilbert, puts that together, and we had players as far away as Pittsburgh, coming into the border city here, and just looking at the talent of all areas, different leagues, and being able to have that in our own rink, and also show the players and the families what we're about in Lloydminster here, what our rink's like, and it was a really competitive camp. We really liked the pace of the play throughout the weekend. I thought it got better. And then, hard decisions will come from that, and move players into what will be our summer camp in June. But then this last weekend, we had our futures camp. It's the second year we've done that. We keep it really low numbers, personable, and putting the players through different elements on the weekend that they would see in a season, junior hockey. So we had forward skill, defensive skill, some 3-on-3, 4-on-4 team practices, small area games, special team play, and then scrimmages, as well as a presentation just on our, our organization, the Alberta Junior Hockey League, our community, the billeting system, how all that works with us, so that they're familiar with it. And we see some of our players now that continue to come through camps. And we had signed Kale Skrepnik a while back, and he's a player that did the camp process, did the main camp, did the affiliation, and now is signed with us. And there's many success stories like that, and we're looking forward to a few more, whether it's this off season or 3 off seasons from now. We just want to continue to build those relationships.
And so, Nigel, you guys will be having lots of different community events throughout the spring and summer. So talk to me about those upcoming ones that are very exciting for you guys here in May, April, and even leading up to September.
Yeah, we're fortunate. I think our hockey school right now is both weeks are to a wait list. And then with the first time we've been doing this or going to do this with the goalie sessions or goalie hockey school with Sheldon Gertzen. One of the most established goalie coaches, I think. He's from Lloydminster originally. He works with our goalies weekly. And it's one of those, we try to keep it still as affordable as we can for everybody. We have costs that go up, like everybody have costs that go up, but we want to make it a great experience, an opportunity too as well, that we see it every year, that players that are just getting into hockey, and want to get that first skate in before their first season kicks off. And for us, we have many instructors, both as the staff, our former players, our current players. We have a great relationship with the Steelers and wrestlers in town, that some of those girls are out too, as well as instructors. So a great product on and off the ice. We'll look forward to that. And then just our off season flavor festival in May, golf tournament in June, and then to 2 weeks of hockey school and the goalie camp. And before we know it, we'll be back to Evening of Champions in the fall.
Thank you so much for all the information, Nigel, and we look forward to covering all of these events throughout the spring and summer.
Thanks, Thomas.
Now time to have a look at all of the pet pictures that you've been sharing with us for our Pets of the Day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day. I'm here with Aaron, Tristan, Yob, and Jiffy, the band members of Jamstart, who is going to be participating in Border Battle of the Bands. Jamstart, thank you so much for joining with us.
Thank you for having us.
So can you please tell us about how you guys meet up and created this band?
It's a very long story, actually. At first, we have the three of us, Jiffy, Tristan, and I, as a band before, but unfortunately, we don't have like a set up schedule. That we don't have the proper band practice because of our schedule. Some of us are unavailable. To cut the story short, the schedule don't match with each other. So the three of us just started going and jamming on my sister's garage and or in basement and garage, yeah. And then we suddenly got bored. Just guitars and just two guitars and and just got bored. Then I what do you call it? I suggest to get Kino. Yeah, I know Kino on he is um a CFC member as well as my sister, so I know him before. And and then one weekend we just do our jump session. Then we hit. Then from there we go a long way.
Now, this is the first Border Battle of the Bands. Were there previous competition that you guys partake with?
No, actually, not a competition. We played a lot of shows, like an event kind of thing. So we do like front acts to some artists, but joining into a battle of the bands, this will be our first time.
Yeah, this will be our first time. First time as a band here as a Jumpstart.
Yeah.
But way back before
Yeah,
in the
me
Philippines.
as a part of the Jamstart band. But we do have our own individual bands way back home.
Yeah, Philippines, in the
So
homeland.
yeah, from that point we have an experience, like joining into the battle of the bands. But us here,
No, it's our first time.
as Jamstart, this is definitely
Yeah,
our first time.
definitely our first time.
Yeah.
And definitely not the last for sure.
What genre are you guys planning to play in the competition?
Preferably alternative music.
Well, it's kind of mix of punk, alternative, and old kind of rock. So
You got it right.
so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining with us, Jamstart, for giving us a bit more information about your band, and hopefully that you guys are going to enjoy playing in this Border Battle of the Bands this coming April 27.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Thank you very much.
All right.
A show that pays tribute to some of the most iconic female country stars is coming to the Vic Juba Community Theater this Monday night. It's the Country Divas, and it's going to feature music from the likes of Reba McEntire, Dolly Parton, Shania Twain, Faith Hill, and more. So if you love country music, you're going to love this tribute show. The Country Divas, Monday night at the Vic Juba Community Theater. There's still time for you to get your tickets. Go online, vicjubatheater.ca. Coming up tomorrow night, the Vermilion Folk Club is hosting an EP release party for the brand new album from Adrienne LeVay. Adrienne is somebody who's a very talented singer-songwriter, and she's previously won second place at a singer-songwriter competition at the Banff Centre. She's traveled all across Canada. She now calls Vermilion home, so you've got an opportunity to see some great local talent coming up tomorrow night. Doors are going to open at 6:30. The show will get underway at 7:30 at the Legion in Vermilion. Tickets $20 each, and they will be available at the door. And coming up on Thursday night, it's opening night for dinner theater here at the Legacy Center. The show is Barefoot in the Park, and there are still some tickets available. The show's going to run April 25th to the 28th. To get your tickets for a great show and a great meal, call the Legacy office, 780-875-4584. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
I'm here with Tyler McMurtry from the SGI to talk about impaired driving violations during 420. Tyler, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us today.
Oh, no worries, man. It's the job.
What are some of the punishments people can face if caught driving high?
The most common by far are an administrative suspension. In Saskatchewan, the Traffic Safety Act makes it clear that you are not allowed to drive with any cannabis or any other drugs in your system that can be detected by one of those roadside oral fluid testers that I referenced earlier. So a positive on one of those tests would result in a brief license suspension and a vehicle impoundment, as well as a couple of other consequences, which include the demerits under our Safe Driver Recognition Program and the requirement to take a weekend driving without impairment course. So if you test positive on one of those oral fluid tests, there are a stash of consequences that go along with that, and ones that can strain your finances really and cost you some green, because you do have to pay to get your vehicle out of the impound lot. You have to pay for those impound and towing fees. There's a cost to the weekend course that you have to take. And of course, the inconvenience of being without your license.
And what are some of the tools police can use to catch somebody driving high?
Enforcement of impaired driving is always strong in Saskatchewan and right across the prairies. And police have been given additional tools and training following legalization, which happened back in 2018. There are now in as part of many check stops and in traffic enforcement vehicles, roadside testers that essentially can test somebody's saliva for the presence of cannabis and other drugs. Those have become increasingly available for police, and as a result, we have seen the number of people being caught driving under the influence of cannabis increase substantially over the last few years in particular.
And Tyler, has the SGI seen a rise in impaired driving numbers within the last couple years?
Yeah, in particular, so we those administrative suspensions I talked about earlier. So these are brief administrative suspensions that go along with the lower level alcohol and drug offenses. So in particular, the administrative suspensions have increased. The number of criminal code charges has actually come down somewhat over the last few years, slightly, but the number of administrative suspensions for the lower offenses have increased substantially, and that is largely being driven by the number of suspensions related to drugs. So what we've seen is in 2020, and of course this was the pandemic year, so people were driving less, we saw 196 suspensions. The following year, it was over 500 suspensions. So that was 2021. In 2022, the number was 839 suspensions, and then in 2023, it's close to 1,600 suspensions. So that is a substantial increase from just 3 years ago when you were seeing under 200. So what we want people to understand is that cannabis is legal now, and heading into this weekend, we know that there might be some people celebrating that fact, but we want them to understand that any of their weekend plans for celebrations should also include a plan for a safe ride home. So if you're hanging with your best buds, spark up that conversation about the importance of not driving impaired, because there are a stash of consequences, including driver's license suspensions and vehicle impoundments that go along with being caught driving after using weed. And to put it bluntly, losing your license and your vehicle, even temporarily, can shatter your weekend plans, and there are a host of consequences that can cost you some green, but also the most important thing is not driving under the influence of drugs means that you are helping keep our roads safe. And police have tools and training to determine whether somebody's been driving under the influence of drugs. We'd much rather people not get caught, though. We'd much rather people make that decision for themselves that they're never going to drive impaired. And there are so many great options that people have.
Tyler, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us today, and we hope everyone finds a safe ride home during 420.
Romanian circus artists carried out a surprise performance at the Bucharest airport. "80 performers from the Bucharest Metropolitan Circus entertain people at the arrivals terminal. It's the first time such an event has been staged in Romania. It was held in honor of World Circus Day, which is tomorrow. Something to see.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Sometimes a long day at the not the circus. That's what it feels like at the airport some days, especially at specific ones here in Canada. But I won't say that too loudly.
That's all we have for you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a good evening.